joining us now is our friend, or in just a second, Jennifer Rubin, author of the Right Turn blog on the Washington Post. But first, let's watch this together.
She is going to have to cough up these medical records and describe this. This was a serious... Look, the Center for Disease Control says a concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury. It's serious. No. Look. This was my point. We had Dick Cheney on earlier. When he had a heart defibrillator put in, what happened? He put out his 3 doctors to talk endlessly about what was going to happen, what had happened, how his recovery was going to be. She would have been better served having done that. Look, I agree. She suffered no long-term damage from this.
All right, that was Carl Rove on Fox News Sunday. Joining us now is Jennifer Rubin. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, always great to talk to you. You wrote a piece about this at the Washington Post in the Right Turn column back a few days ago. Hillary Clinton and her flaws shaped the GOP's 2016 choice. Let's talk about Hillary for a second here. Is Carl Rove legit here and bringing this up?
Absolutely. The woman was down for the count for 6 months, according to her husband. She will be 69 years old when she runs for president. Of course she's going to have to deal with all these issues. And these are coming from the same people, these outraged liberals, who are the ones who question John McCain's mental stability, his health, all of these issues, who called Ronald Reagan practically an invalid when he ran in 1980. So the mock outrage that anyone should question Queen Hillary is just a little bit much to take.
And you know, the reports are, I don't know exactly, but Carl Rove was quoting, and I'll just assume these quotes are right, what they did to Bob Dole, what the Clintons did to Bob Dole when he was running against them. Tired, old, worn out, disconnected, dysfunctional. I mean, my gosh.
Yes, well, we all know that there's a tremendous double standard. What's funny is that the administration, as you know, got into office by really destroying the reputations of 2 very decent, almost heroic Americans, definitely a hero in the case of John McCain. And the media, the liberals thought this was all fun. This is politics. It ain't beanbag. Everything's legit. They called Mitt Romney a murderer. They called him a tax cheat. All that was part of the game. But Hillary, we dared to bring up the fact that she had a concussion and a recovery for 6 months. Suddenly, you know, it's anti-women, it's anti-old people, and on and on. You know what? I think they do this because they think they're going to intimidate the conservatives or the conservative media. It's not going to work. The stuff is going to come up. She's going to have to explain herself. And, of course, the real problem she has is not that she's a tired old lady. It's that she has tired old lady ideas, and that her views haven't changed and her ideas haven't changed since the 1960s and 70s. So this is just going to be one of many problems. But if she thinks she's going to get away with not discussing this or is going to intimidate critics, I think she's sadly mistaken.
All right, let me try to tie in, the rest of your column on that is not necessarily about, it mentioned who is best qualified to take on Hillary, but you write also today about Jeb Bush. So let me first ask you about Jeb Bush. How qualified is he? How would he do against Hillary in a fictional matchup, in your opinion?
It depends in large part upon his message, obviously, what he runs on. I think any Republican who has a good record, who makes the case that it's time for an era of conservative change, who aggressively goes after her record and aggressively dissects her foreign policy record, is going to have a very good chance. These races now are very close races. It's a 45-45 electorate, and you fight over the other 10%.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of Republicans who could do this. There are a lot of Republicans who can't, and it's up to the electorate to figure out who those people are. But I think if you have a good, solid candidate with a clear message, that person can beat Hillary Clinton.
Well, you talk about Jeb Bush. Let's get back to him in your piece today. You talk about him, picking up energy and kind of like not redefining his message, but maybe streamlining his message a little bit in the last 2 appearances he's made.
Yeah, I think what's happened is that there was kind of a vacuum. Chris Christie, for better or for worse, whatever your views, took a big hit on the bridge thing, bigger than I think most people recognized at the time. A lot of people, me included, said, well, if you don't find anything further, you can kind of bounce back. He's never really bounced back, and what he has done is made donors and the people who are his natural constituents extremely nervous. So those people go looking around for other people. And no one else kind of emerged from that pack with good timing. It wasn't like Scott Walker suddenly jumped up and said, I'm your guy, and made an aggressive play for these people. And so they kept looking at Jeb Bush, and they kept looking at Jeb Bush, and then finally they said, why don't we look at Jeb Bush? And I think he kind of got interested in the prospect, and so what he's doing now is doing the things that people who are interested in presidential campaigns do, giving speeches, as you say, pepping up the language a little bit, being a little bit more detailed, raising his profile, doing outreach to various segments of the Republican Party. I don't know if he's going to run. I think it's probably maybe 50-50 or a little bit more than 50-50. But he's certainly looking for a potential run, and that's in large part because there are a lot of other candidates who are just kind of circling, the Glenway and haven't really decided to run and haven't really articulated a message. I think there'll be other people, in addition to Jeb Bush, who comes forward. I saw Mike Pence today speak in Washington, D.C. It was very impressive. He's another possible candidate who has a lot of these same qualities: executive experience, good reform message, interested in foreign policy. So I think he's doing this. These guys who are interested in kind of filling that void. You're going to see more of them in the weeks and months ahead as they try to raise their profile and say, hey, I can be the guy who has crossover appeal to Democrats. I can be the guy with executive experience. I can be the guy who can get on the stage and blast Hillary away. And we'll see who, if anyone, fills that void.
Yeah, going to be very interesting. All right, finally, the New York Times situation. Over the weekend, we had the Times firing back at accusations that Jill Abramson was fired because of her complaining about unequal pay, and they're saying she didn't do the job for various reasons, and the staff was unhappy, and blah blah blah. I just like to sit back and watch it all take place and watch the New York Times get attacked by the left and watch the Times fire back against a woman where they would certainly criticize another paper if they were doing it. I think it's just all too much fun to watch.
It's like the Iran-Iraq war. You don't know who to root for. You just hope it goes on for a very long time. And you're right. There is something absolutely delightful. She was the one who really wrote a book smearing Clarence Thomas. Well, now she has the experience of seeing what it is to have one's life distorted and things taken out of context, and people make accusation against her. And by the same token, the New York Times, who's been on this wage gap and gender discrimination kick for however long, now the shoe is on the other foot, and they want to say, well, every situation is different. You have to look at the merits. You can't just look at the dollar amount. Welcome to our world.
Yeah.
So you're right. Let this go on. Let 1,000 fights and 1,000 leaks bloom. And by the time we're all done with it, hopefully they'll all be a little less acceptable in their pronouncements to the rest of us on politically correct language, and gender and racial equality will be taken with a giant grain of salt.
Yeah.
These people are no one to lecture us, I'll tell you.
That is utopia, almost utopia. Jennifer, thank you very much. Pleasure to speak to you.
My pleasure being here.
Bye-bye. Jennifer Rubin, ladies and gentlemen. Washington Post, and it's the Right Turn blog. Make sure you check it out. I always love talking to her and reading her. We don't always agree on everything, but today we pretty much did, except, and she didn't endorse Jeb Bush. But I just find it hard to, I know Romney won the primaries, but I got to tell you, Romney didn't say, for all the things he did say, Romney didn't say something that stands in direct conflict with conservative values so much. Romney didn't say, Romney didn't say, hey, these illegals who are here, you can't blame somebody who comes here illegally just because they want to help their family and feed their family. I just think that's it. I find myself agreeing with Ron Christie, who worked for President George W. Bush, knows the Bushes very well, who said he torpedoed his own candidacy possibility when he said that. Do you extend it to robbing a bank? Do you extend it to robbing a grocery store if your kid needs food? Anyway, we're coming back. The panel, Molesburg panel.